How are y'all tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm in my office and I have awesome speed.
Do you?
I do.
What
200 megabytes per second download.
what did they what did you end up doing?
I had someone install a pair of Netgear Orbi meshes.
Okay, cool.
I have no idea. This is beyond my technical ability. There's one downstairs Ethernetted to the router, and there's one right over here. And the minute we did it, I got like 200 megabytes download.
Wow. Good.
Hey, I don't care. I mean, I don't care how fast it downloads too. I mean, 200 is great. That's wonderful, but who cares? I just want it to work, and I think it does. So I'm good. And so the boys are downstairs and I'm up here. This will be much better. How are y'all doing? Good weekend?
Nervous.
Over. Test.
Nah, that's not what it is. Not even a little bit, right? Yeah. Nervous.
Okay. Who have we got here? I've got a couple of people. Okay, I'll give it a minute or two and then I'll get started. The chapter today is really short. So we probably won't be here very long. Wednesday test. The test is open from 4 o'clock until 10 o'clock. You have 3 hours for it, but you can do it any of the 3 hours in there that you want to. Let me think. Obviously, we won't have a Zoom meeting, but I'll be around if you have any problems. You can email me. Let me think. There are 25 conceptual multiple choice questions, definitions, that kind of thing, at 1 point each. And there are 25 problems at 3 points each.
I have a quick question on that as well.
Okay.
So for the 25 questions that you're talking about that were like you said, like definitional and all that, is it good to there's like review problems or questions on the back of each chapter in the book? Does that help out at all?
Look at let me look back at chapter. I think it's chapter 4. We looked at. Let me look here. I actually have the book. There's one in chapter 4 that was particularly good. There's one coming up in this one too. Chapter 4, the end of chapter question number 12. That one where it says, if you do this, what'll happen to current assets? What'll happen to current ratio? Turn that around to which of the following would increase the current ratio?
Okay.
That kind of question. They kind of have to do with a formula without numbers. Which of the following would put more cash on the balance sheet? That sort of thing. So yeah. And then definition, just a definition type thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let me go see what I want. There's what I want. So let me get back over here and share my screen. We're going to look at chapter 16. By the way, if you are using the free access to MindTap, I think it ended today. I think I've got an email that said it ended today. So slideshow, come on. From the beginning. There we go. Chapter 16. This one is way out of order, obviously, but it fits real well with chapters 3 and 4, which are accounting, because this has to do sort of with accounting. We're going to look at forecasted financial statements and the AFN equation. AFN stands for additional funds needed. And you review them, what happens if the firm is operating with excess capacity, and what affects AFN. In this case, we're looking at the little case again. This is New World Chemical. California produced specialty chemicals. They're operating at full capacity, and they're projecting a 25% increase in sales for 2020. Everything else is going to stay unchanged. Here's the key thing. If sales aren't going to increase, you don't need any more money. Everything is driven by an increase in sales. Now, here's their balance sheet. 2019, there's their estimate for 2020. Everything went up with sales. Everything went up just exactly like they said, by 25%. There's their liabilities and equity at balances. And here is their income statement. I want to move this little thing. I'll move it over here. Make it go away. There we go. Okay. And you can see all of their projections. Taxes, 25%. They're going to pay out 30% in dividends. Now, here are their ratios. You'll note they've only got two that are good. Whoops, I thought I highlighted them. Liabilities to assets. They have less liabilities than the industry, and their payout ratio is right on target. Well, that's not a big deal because they can pick that. So the rest of these things are not very good. Look at their days sales outstanding. The industry averages, just like we looked at with De Leon, it's 32. That pretty well implies that the industry standard is 30-day net. Well, their customers are paying in 43 days. This is not good. Okay. For our forecast, they're operating at full capacity. That means all assets grow proportionally with sales. If sales goes up 25%, all their assets have to go up too. Accounts payable and accruals grow with sales. What that means is what they're implying, notes payable does not. Think back to net operating working capital. Notes payable is not an operating liability. So it doesn't increase with sales. Profit margin is going to stay the same. Payout's going to stay the same. Their sales are going to increase by 25%, $500 million. Here's our formula. Now, remember, AFN, additional funds needed. This is how much they're going to have to go outside to fund a 25% increase. This first component right here is the total amount they're going to need. Now, this is a ratio. This is assets to sales. We're going to look at it on a coming slide. This guy right here, even though they told you 25%, that's dollars. Because this number's got to be dollars. So this is a ratio, so that's got to be dollars. So that's the 500 million. That's the total they're going to need. This is how much they're going to spontaneously generate internally. And this is how much they're going to generate from retained earnings on the new sales. And we're going to look at each element. Okay, A asterisk, assets tied directly to sales. For New World Chemical, that's all their assets. S sub 0 is last year's sales, 2,000. S sub 1, next year's projected sales, I think it's 2,500. The change in sales is dollars. It's the difference in dollars. It's 500 million. L asterisk is liabilities that spontaneously increase with sales. It's only accounts payable and accruals. And I can assure you, in every problem that's given, they're going to give you notes payable to try to sucker you into using it. So don't use it. Okay. That first component, A asterisk divided by current sales, that's called the capital intensity ratio. It's telling you how much you need of assets to support each dollar of sales. So a capital intensity ratio of 0.8 would say you need 80 cents of assets to support every new dollar of sales. Spontaneous liabilities tells you how much you're going to generate. Profit margin, they gave it to us. Now pay attention to retention ratio. Retention is what you don't pay out as a dividend. They said they were going to pay out 30% as dividends. So the retention ratio is 70%. They're retaining 70% of their net income. There we go. Okay, here's the numbers for New World Chemical. Change in sales, 500 million. Their capital intensity ratio is 0.5. They need 50 cents in assets for every new dollar of sales. Their liability, the spontaneous liability ratio is 0.05. Profit margin was given, 3.15. Retention ratio, 70%. Plug it in. There it is. According to AFN, they need about $170 million to support a 25% growth in sales. Now, let me say this about it. This is pretty much a plug and chug. You pick up all the numbers, plug them in the formula, and you got it. The places where I've seen problems, this is a dollar amount. Change in sales is a dollar amount. It is not a percentage. Do not include notes payable in that. And for some reason, be sure you use the retention ratio, not the payout. For some reason, I've seen it too many times, so I've got to mention it. See, each of these has got two components, the ratio and change in sales. This one's got three. For some reason, people leave one out. I'm not too sure why. To me, this would kind of be your first brush. You'd look at it and go, oh my gosh, we're going to grow 25%. We're going to need $170 million. There is a more refined approach to this called the percent of sales approach. We're not going to take it up. That comes in 338 and 431, where you forecast each line item in the income statement and balance sheet and come up with an AFN number, which is a bit more refined and would probably be a little bit lower. But this will give you a start on it. Okay. They looked at that and said, oh my gosh, we need to do some stuff. What if they can get their customers to get their DSO down to 34 days? They're going to add a new facility that's going to boost the firm's net fixed assets to $700 million. They're not going to add $700 million. They're going to boost it. And they think their inventory system, they can get it to where it's a 10 times turn. What's going to happen? Well, it's going to adjust their assets, of course. It's not going to affect the liabilities and equity side, and it's not going to affect the income statement. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to move money up to cash. Net fixed assets is going to go to 700. Over here, now they've got this down where it's kind of okay now, and inventory turnover is kind of okay now. And of course, payout's still okay. And total asset turnover. So they're in a little bit better shape. Okay. Net operating working capital. You know what that is. The boys are barking and must have seen something on the street. I made the mistake of leaving the front wood door open so they can see out. Current assets minus current liabilities, excluding notes payable. Net fixed assets for 2019. So the capital investment for 2019 is the sum of those two. For 2020, 1125. So their net investment in capital, 225. I can hear them. I hope you can't. Free cash flow. EBIT, we took it straight off the income statement. 1 minus the tax rate, minus the net investment in capital. Notice it's negative. Now remember what we looked at back with De Leon. Negative free cash flow is really, not a serious problem when you're in an expansion mode. And 25% expansion is a pretty good growth. So this may not be a problem. Okay. We said that they were operating at full capacity sales. That means they had to add everything. What if they were only at 85% capacity? Well, divide their sales by 85%. They could go up to 2353 without adding any assets. Well, what does that do? Sales wouldn't change, but the assets would be lower. So their turnover would improve, less debt because they're not going to have to go outside and get money. It's going to improve everything. There's your equation up there. How would the following affect the AFN? Oops, I'm sorry. Told you it was a short chapter. Back up. Back up. Why am I not going back? Well, on the current slide, back up. My mouse decided to stop working. I want to back up. How come I can't back up? I have absolutely no idea. Okay, I'll get there this way. I can't get there that way. There we go. Okay. What if they pay out more in dividends? Well, it'll increase AFN because this will be over here. 1 minus their payout. If they pay out more, this will be less, and they're subtracting that. They have a higher profit margin, M will be larger. So this will be larger, they'll need less AFN. What if they have a higher capital intensity ratio? If this is larger, they're going to need more assets. What if they decide to pay their suppliers in 60 days rather than 30 days? That's going to decrease AFN because this number right here is going to go up. They've got more in accounts payable. Accounts payable is going to be higher. Make sense? Told you it was short. Questions? Basically, this chapter's got two formulas, the AFN formula and the excess capacity thing. So I want to share something else. I'll find it. Whiteboard. I know it's here. I say I know that. There it is right there. Okay. How come I can't find the thing? Just share my screen. Show all windows. That ain't the one I want. That's the one I want. Right there. Okay. Chapter 16. First question is, what are the key factors on which external financing depends? Well, there they are. Right there. Sales growth. That is the big one. Everything is driven by sales growth. The capital intensity ratio. Remember, that's in the first component. That tells you overall how much you need. Spontaneous liabilities, how much you're going to generate internally. Accounts payable and accruals. Your profit margin and your retention ratio. Okay, number 4 says, number 4, they don't bother. Wait, let me read it. Certain liability and net worth items generally increase spontaneously with increases in sales. Which ones? Accounts payable, notes payable does not, accrued wages, and accrued taxes. That's it. The other choices were notes payable, mortgage bonds, common stock, and retained earnings. They do not. Okay, and this one, I wish they'd put the question in here, but they don't. So I'll have to read it. Suppose a firm makes the following policy changes. If the change means that external non-spontaneous financial requirements, AFN, will increase, indicate with a plus, minus if it'll, no change, 0. Okay, the first one, A, the dividend payout ratio is increased. It's going to increase AFN. If you pay out more, you keep less. Rather than produce computers in advance, a computer company decides to produce them only after an order has been received. That's going to reduce AFN. They're not going to hold as much inventory. They're not going to need as much raw material. Generally, yeah, they're going to require less. You do realize that's how Dell started. Originally, when you ordered a Dell computer, they produced it after you ordered it. The firm decides to pay all suppliers on delivery rather than after a 30-day delay to take advantage of discounts for rapid payment. That's going to increase it. If they pay immediately instead of after 30 days, their accounts payable goes down, and that's a spontaneous liability. The firm begins to sell on credit, and previously all sales had been on a cash basis. Right there, that's going to drive it up. The firm's profit margin is eroded by increased competition, but sales are steady. That's going to drive it up. M goes down, profit margin, AFN goes up. F, advertising expenditures are stepped up. That's probably going to drive it up because it's going to drive up sales. That would be the point anyway. A decision is made to substitute long-term mortgage bonds for short-term bank loans. Not going to make any difference. And the firm begins to pay employees on a weekly basis. Excuse me. Previously, it had paid them at the end of each month. That's going to drive it up. What they've been doing is accruing wages each week and paying at the end of the month. Now they're going to pay each week. So that's going to reduce accrued wages. That's part of spontaneous liabilities. Questions on those? Okay, stop that share, and I want something else. That's what I want. Let me go find it. Right there. That's the one I want. Okay. Problems 1, 2, and 3 all go together. Oh, the question's in here, so I'm not going to have to read from the book. Good. Carlsbad Corporation sales are expected to increase from $5 million in 2019 to $6 million in 2020, or about 20%. Assets totaled $3 million at the end of 2019. It's at full capacity, so its assets must grow in proportion to projected sales. At the end of 2019, current liabilities are 1 million, consisting of 250,000 of accounts payable, 500,000 of notes payable, and 250,000 of accrued liabilities. Profit margins forecasted to be 3%. The forecasted retention ratio is 30%. Okay, they've told you everything. And just as I mentioned, they gave you notes payable because they're going to try to get you to use it. Now, you've got everything you need to plug into this. Let me see if I can do it. Assets, current sales. I'll go down here and get this change in new sales. So the change in sales is going to be this one minus that one. Liabilities is that one plus that one. Profit margin is given. Their retention ratio is given. Pay attention to whether they give you the retention ratio or the payout ratio. Now, when you've got all of that, okay, we can get each element. It's going to be, I'm going to have to use a keyboard for this. That divided by that times the change in sales. And this is going to equal, whoa, where's the liability? That divided by sales. I hope I get the right answer here. Times the change in sales. Oh, I got another problem. And this one is equal to the profit margin times new sales times the retention ratio. Okay, that's going to be the first one minus the second one minus the third one. 446,000.
So on our test, I'm sure we're going to see a question identical to that.
Yes, you are.
My question for you is it going to be all that black and white? Are you going to have all that information that accessible and that available? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's going to be just as clear as this.
And you said pay attention if it's the retention ratio or the payout ratio. Are we going to do one with the payout ratio, or what do we do different if it's the payout?
If they told you payout, this would have said payout ratio was 70%.
Okay, and then you do the one minus.
One minus, yeah.
Okay.
That's all. Just be careful what they tell you. That's the key. Just be careful what they say.
Or what you say, rather.
Yeah.
And then like whatchamacallit, one of the assignments or whatever for the homework, one of them didn't give you the retention ratio, and it was just like I just put like 1 for 100%. And I'm guessing that's how it's gonna be like on the test as well, right?
I am pretty sure the problem gives you one or the other.
Okay, I got you.
I don't remember which one it gives you, but I'm pretty sure it gives it to you.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to work 2 and 3 exactly. I'm going to go over here and just show them to you because they're the same problem, except for one change. What if total assets was 4 million instead of 3 million? That's the only change. Everything else stays the same. Okay, that drove their capital intensity ratio up. So now, instead of 446, they need 646. Because they needed, before 3 million to 5 million was 0.6. They needed 60 cents for each new dollar of sales. 4 to 5, now they need 80 cents for each new dollar of sales. Okay, number 3, what if it goes back to 3, but their retention ratio is 100%? They don't pay any dividends. Think about the formula. It's going to bring it down to 320. Just be careful. I mean, because this is a plug and chug thing. If you pick out each one of these little elements, you got it. You just put them all together. You got it. And yes, there is a problem on the test, and it looks like number 1. There you go. Or 2 or 3. I mean, they're all the same. They just changed one of the elements from it. Okay, let's look at number 5. Number 5 says Williamson Industries has $7 billion in sales and $1.944 billion in fixed assets, and they're operating at 90%. What level of sales could they have had? Well, they could have had divided by 90%. That's their full capacity sales. What's their target fixed asset to sales ratio? Okay, that would be this. What happened there? What did I do? Go away. There we go. Okay, that would be their current fixed assets, which would support that much in sales. So their fixed asset to sales ratio is 25%. Now, if sales goes up 15%, their new sales is going to be, let me get back up here, times 1 plus, where's my little 15? There we go. That much. They don't need any fixed asset increase. Did I do that right? Oh, no. There's missing something in there. Missing a 1. That's better. Okay. That's their increase in sales at 15%. But they don't need any fixed assets until they get there. So they don't need anything minus. They only need fixed assets to cover that. The difference between what they could handle as where they stand and their number one sales. And the answer is that times that, 68040. And the last one here. Okay. Paladin Industries generated $4 million in sales during 2016. Year-end total assets, $3.2 million. At the end of year 2016, current liabilities were $500,000, consisting of $200,000 of notes payable, $200,000 of accounts payable, $100,000 of accrued. Looking ahead, the company estimates that its assets must increase by 80 cents for every dollar increase in sales. That's their capital intensity ratio right there. The profit margin is 3%. Retention ratio is 50. How large of a sales increase can the company achieve without having to raise funds externally? Okay, let me talk about the formula here for a minute. Blow it up a little. This is just a formula. Theoretically, given all but one of the elements, you could solve for it, any one of them. But in reality, there's only two things you'd really want to do with it. You'd want to solve for how much outside funding do I need to support this big an increase in sales? Or what this question's asking, how much can I grow without going outside for any funding? Make sense? So what you do is you set AFN to 0 and solve for the change in sales. And I am going to show it to you over here because I am not going to go through all the little steps. And I'll tell you why. I want you to see it. There it is. But here's the thing. If you take 338, in this case, this is some heavy algebra here. 338 changes it to a formula. They give you the formula for it. Okay, I want AFN to be 0. I do not want to go outside. They told us that capital intensity ratio, 0.8 times the change in sales. They gave us spontaneous liabilities and sales, so we've got the spontaneous liability ratio times the change in sales. They gave us the profit margin, the retention ratio. New sales is just current sales plus X. Solve for X. I have a feeling you didn't like that one all that well.
I like this one a little bit better than balance sheets.
It's just algebra, but you kind of struggle with it, and then we get to 338, and there's a formula for it. I mean, they've already solved it for you, but I want you to see how this works because theoretically, I mean, sometimes a firm might say, you know what, we really like to grow, but this is not a good time to go to the market for anything. I mean, you know, our stock price is down. We don't want to borrow money. How much can we grow without doing, you know, without going outside for any funds? Well, they can grow, divide this by current sales. They can grow about 2.11%. Not a lot, but they can grow without going outside. I've seen some problems in 338 where they'd say, we're willing to go outside for funding of $500,000. How much can we grow? The logic's the same. You just set this to whatever it is you want and solve for X. Getting a lot of stuff from Ole Miss over here. Told you it was a short chapter. And it was. That's it. Okay, questions about what we're going to do. On Wednesday, you have a test. I'm going to cancel the Zoom meeting, obviously, for Wednesday. If you have any problem, I'll be around probably all day because I have class at 6 o'clock anyway. So let me know if you have any problem. Monday, we will start chapter 5. You need your calculator for that. You need the TI Business Analyst too. Questions? Everybody just looks so happy.
Yeah, I just have like one quick question about the with under my grades. So whenever it tells you just like the total, so it'll be like the total right now is like 335 or however much it is.
Total grade.
Yeah, and then
The
it says that
Blackboard?
and then the syllabus quiz, is that already tagged on? And if so, like do we just minus that out of it since it's not
Don't pay any attention to it. That number, I wish I could make it go away. In fact, I'll go in there and try again. Blackboard puts that total thing in there and I can't do anything about it. It doesn't mean anything.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
It-
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out like what my homework grade was so far, like in total, you know what I'm saying? And then I think the
you
syllabus
can go to
quiz.
MindTap. You can go to MindTap and look at the grade book.
Oh, okay, I got you. So it'll just tell me like my overall out of like the
Mhm.
chapters I already did. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
It will. Go to MindTap. It will tell you. It's over there. It puts them in Blackboard, but I don't know if I've got the MindTap total showing right now. If it is, then in Blackboard, the total MindTap points would be correct because it's going to add them up.
Mhm.
But you can see them in MindTap.
Okay.
Okay. Questions about your test. Print out your formula sheet so you have it to work with. You can tell I'm working with a virtual background because you can see it does weird stuff, but whatever. Print that out. The test really shouldn't take you 3 hours, but you've got 3 hours to do it.
What
So,
about scratch paper?
scratch
Because
paper, calculator,
it's fine.
pencil?
Right, but we don't have anyone on the other side watching us. The only one that's going to be able to do that is you when you need to review it. So what I'm trying to get at is, how are you going to know the difference if I'm literally cheating, right? Because I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not trying to get in trouble. If I'm writing stuff on a scratch paper as I'm going, I guess the honor system is what we're going to be working with here.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Proctor U, and I could set it up so that we had a Zoom test and I watched all of you. I couldn't watch all of you take a test. I mean, I couldn't watch all these little pictures. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Proctor U actually has a living person watching you take your test. Unfortunately, that costs $30, $33, I think it is. For a 3
Yeah,
hour
and also
test.
with like Proctor U, like I was taking that with one other class and like we needed a scratch paper. So every time I would look down to write some stuff down, like, for like the problems, like
Mhm.
the person would always tell me like, hey, why are you looking down? I'm like, well, you can clearly see I'm writing, like I'm trying to actually like, do the problem. So it's just a pain. It's a pain.
Yeah, they've been okay, but we used it in the graduate class for quite a few years. And we had some issues with it, some different issues with it. And particularly in a class like this where there's calculation involved. Like I said, if everything was on your screen, in other words, all the questions were conceptual, and you should be looking at your screen all the time. You don't need a calculator. You don't need anything. You should just be looking at the screen and answering the questions. Then it would make sense to say, okay, if they look away, that's not a good thing. But that's not what this is. You're going to need scratch paper. You're going to need your calculator. You're going to need your formula sheet. You're going to want to write stuff down and try the numbers and say, okay, yeah, that's the answer I got. Answer C is the one I got. So no, I can go back and review it. I can watch you, and it'll tell me if they, like you looked off too much or something like that. But don't cheat. Don't cheat. How about that? That would be the way to do it. This is not that hard. Come on, people. Actually, this test and the next one are probably the easiest ones because this should be accounting review. So it should be a lot of review. AFN is not review, but it's a straight formula. You just plug in the numbers and it works. The next test is time value of money and bond valuation, and it's 90% in your calculator. Get that TI business analyst too. It's in your calculator. So do that. And then after that, it gets a little more involved. Like anything, it grows like Topsy. Any other questions? Don't be nervous about it. The good thing about the first test is it is review. And once you see what this test looked like, you're going to know what the tests are going to look like. Because all of them, all tests and the final have got 25 and 25, 25 at 1, 25 at 3.
I just wonder, because when I do my practice stuff for the test, like as my last minute review to get everything, that I think I need, it's just there's so many modules in there to choose from, and that's just a part of it. I'll choose the wrong thing and probably suffer for it, and then practice for the wrong thing when it's not going to be there. That's why I'm nervous, because there's much that you can choose.
It's a lot, and bless their heart, MindTap has given us a lot. They've added a lot in this year, which is a good thing. I mean, I'm happy for that, but it does leave you with a lot to practice. I'll say this: I don't tend to ask minor things. You know how people sometimes we want an open book test. Well, guess what? If it's an open book test, then footnotes are fair game. Anything that's in the book is fair game. This is not open book. I want you to get the big picture of stuff, not the tiny little details. That makes sense? Any other questions? We'll sign it off for tonight. Did you see the thing I sent you an email, posted in Blackboard, beginning tonight, I guess at 6 o'clock. Oxford is doing study review sessions. It'll be a doctoral student each night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night from 6 to 8. I'm not sure, they're doing it with Zoom, and I'm not sure, they're doing it with a document camera and working problems. So if you want to sign into it, apparently the Zoom link is the same every time. That's what Bonnie sent me, so I guess it is. But some of you might want to try that and see if it gives you some help. Can't hurt. Any other questions? We're good? We think we're good?
Mm-hmm.
If you think of anything else, I'm here. Oh, they've seen something else. I hear them. Yeah, they are. Okay, that's it. I will post this tonight. Let me know if you have any questions about the test, and good luck. Do good on it.
All right. Thank you.
Knock it out.